Welcome back to Subculture on CentralCoastRadio.com. I'm your host Kyle, and I'm going to be talking about Alice in Wonderland. It's a new show that's being put on by the Australian Shakespeare Company, much the same as the previous show that I reviewed, the Wind in the Willows. Anybody would know the story of Alice in Wonderland, I guess. It's it follows sleepy Alice who, while deciding whether or not to make a daisy chain, she's confronted by a panicked white rabbit who says, oh dear, I shall be late," before popping down a large rabbit hole. Now, as Alice, who's full of intrigue, follows the strange rabbit, so begins her incredible adventures in Wonderland. And for us, our adventure begins at the Capitol Theatre in Melbourne's CBD as things grow curiouser and curiouser. Now, first published in 1865, Lewis Carroll's novel Alice's Adventures in Wonderland has become one of the most iconic children's literary works of all time. It invokes the fantastical imagination of a child's mind as Alice embarks on this journey that's completely bereft of logic or sense, but full of vibrant characters and endless possibilities. Now, from chasing a talking rabbit with a timepiece to caterpillars advising what side of a mushroom you need to eat to shrink and which to grow larger, a duchess whose baby turns into a piglet, and whose perpetually grinning Cheshire cat directs Alice to a mad tea party attended by several animals and a riddling hatter, the Mad Hatter, stuck forever in this perpetual 6 p.m., which is time for tea, as a means to hold off execution by the dreaded foul-tempered Queen of Hearts, who cries off with his, her, or their head at the slightest offense. The tale flows from one bizarre event to another as a form of the literary nonsense genre. Its creativity and subversion of storytelling conventions makes it a work full of potential for reinterpretation. I alone have, not I alone, but I just by myself, I've seen Walt Disney's take on the story. I've seen an adult orientated version of the story. I've seen a horror film version. I've seen various stoner comedies, of course. I mean, when you have characters doing anything involving mushrooms, it's going to attract that sort of an audience. And that's just to name a few. But the only thing I dislike seeing in attempts to adapt the story is trying to rein in the novel's trademark absurdist style and just the weirdness of the story. That's something I didn't really like about the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland movie. It might be controversial to say that, but I think actually trying to make a coherent plot out of Alice in Wonderland is actually to the story's detriment. But thankfully, that's something that the Australian Shakespeare Company's Alice in Wonderland theatre show completely avoids. Glenn Elston's production it allows the audience to become swept away in just all the glorious insanity of Lewis Carroll's classic. This fun and engaging extravaganza. It's a joy for the whole family. For the kids in the audience, it contains sing alongs and direct participation with the show, which is met by on the spot improvisation from the cast. This fully immersive experience, it seems tailor made for the Capitol Theatre, that is. The house lights of the theatre being unique as they are, they kind of illuminate the entire theater almost as dynamically as they illuminate the stage itself. If you haven't been to the Capitol Theatre for an actual stage play, it's hard to describe what I mean. But the entire theater lights up beautifully. Even if you've just been there for a movie, it's not quite the same thing because, of course, it would just be dark. It really is like the entire theater. If they wanted to, the entire audience and house lights all light up. What it, really just like I said, just as dynamically as the actual stage itself, and because of that, throughout the show, the cast enter and exit prominently through the room's side doors, the fire exits, and they ask children from the audience for input. And at one point, they send a flock of inflatable pink flamingos bouncing around the hall. And all of this keeps the little ones, I think, feeling like they themselves are a part of the adventure. The cast were marvelous, with Cassidy Dunn playing Alice as a friendly and lovable youth with eyes full of wonder. The rest of the cast each take on multiple of the loopy characters. For example, Dennis Monaghan, who is I believe, the show's director. He plays the Mad Hatter, Bill the Lizard, and Humpty Dumpty. And he plays all three of those parts so well that I didn't even realize that it was him in all three roles. Rachel Tunnelly, she also deserves a special mention with her portrayal of the White Rabbit, kind of kicking off the show, just really full of energy and spectacle. The lavish costumes are stunning, as you would kind of expect, emphasizing these over the top personas. From Alice's immediately recognizable blue dress and apron, I never really thought about it before. Like, yeah, there is kind of like an Alice uniform, and, that was illustrated by Sir John Tenniel in 1865, I believe, with instructions by Lewis Carroll. Uh, but yeah, so her outfit is amazing. The the Mad Hatter's numerous hats, Tweedledee and Tweedledum have their matching wardrobes. The Duchess in all her fine regalia, and then there's the giant Queen of Hearts in her flowing dress. And here, the Queen and King, who are played by Maddie Mason and Benjamin Barker, respectively, they perform on stilts, and they kind of loom large over the rest of the cast. And I particularly enjoyed the fascinating ways that this story, this production, kind of brought Wonderland's more outlandish characters and events to life. Like, they're utilizing stage tricks and puppetry, like Humpty Dumpty's tiny arms and legs, the Cheshire Cat with its detached floating grin, and the caterpillar, who is played by Ross Daniels. Again, almost all the cast play multiple different characters, but the caterpillar is has his long flowing body and multiple arms, and he's kind of played by multiple actors, and different parts of his body are coming out from different parts of the backdrop, and all of that can be realized based on just how they're doing it. As well, Alice's bout with gigantism, when Alice grows to mammoth proportions off stage, with us only being able to see her huge arms reaching through the backdrop and trying to grab at the White Rabbit. And all of these things kind of help to make Alice in Wonderland just such a constantly surprising and entertaining production. And it targets a younger crowd than the previous Australian Shakespeare Company production I saw, the Wind in the Willows. Um, but with yeah, small children just enthusiastically calling out and engaging with the characters and the story. Yeah, I'd say let yourselves tumble down the rabbit hole and join in on the fun as soon as possible. It's playing at the Capitol Theatre in Melbourne CBD until the 21st of January, and for tickets, please visit shakespeareaustralia.com.au, and that will give you all the information that you need for bookings. You're listening to Subculture on CentralCoastRadio.com, and we will be back right after this.